Elon Musk has bought Twitter for approximately $44 billion. He's going to be paying each share of Twitter $54.20.
I think what is important is that Elon Musk seems very clearly upset by the way Twitter operates, and he sees an opportunity to change that. And for him, the politics of doing that are worth more, it seems, than a profit.
What's good, everyone? It's your boy BackwoodsBANDiT. I want to talk about the trending topic Elon Musk, him buying Twitter, and what does this future hold? Well, we have plenty of questions to cover, and if you're new to this channel, please make sure to smash that like button and give this video a thumbs up. You're about to hear some different narratives from opposing perspectives, so let's jump right into it. And make sure you stick around to the end of this video as I share some of Elon Musk's most recent tweets on Twitter. So without further ado, let's go.
He said he bought it for free speech. What do you think, Ian?
That ain't for no damn free speech, because it is not for no free speech. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all keep saying that Twitter bans free speech. The only person that they banned was like Trump, and this was a full on scare, because even his tweet says, "I hope even my worst critics remain on Twitter," because that is what free speech means. Like this was a move to put people back in their place, and it was a big power move to help people to understand, hey, listen, I'm in charge now, and this is how it works. I've been telling y'all for a long time that Twitter has a lot of power when it comes down to their algorithms. When I was speaking about algorithms, and nobody kind of understood what I was saying. Twitter like turning the narrative or whatever you want, and ever since like the first Twitter CEO stepped down, it went left. I noticed it, and when I told y'all in the room that I found it weird how the Twitter algorithm is now. Like it's like before, I don't know if y'all remember, but if you was trending on Twitter, like let's say if I did something crazy, it was trending for a week. Now it's like people are paying to trend, which is more scarier than anything else, because guess what? People go into the trending news to actually see what's happening. So if I pay Twitter and I say, Twitter, put me trending, that could actually change. That could make me a whole millionaire at the moment, because people are going to want to know what's happening, how's it working, what's the tea, what's the smoke, like what's going on, and people are going to want to know who I am. He can do that already on his Twitter, but the problem is like to control algorithms and stuff, and like what would pop and not. But I think that he was afraid that Twitter would try to do what they did to Trump, which is get him out of there if he wanted to change something. But now he has the ability to do whatever he wants and make things trend. And he can actually, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. This is my prediction. Twitter is going to become a more cleaner place, where now you're going to see things that they're going to be talking about, like real positive stuff. I don't give a fuck about the positive stuff, to be honest. I come to Twitter because, like, if you go through the trending topics, you can actually like dissect actually what's happening now in the moment. I do agree with him. Twitter does have a nasty bot issue and a nasty troll issue, but so does every other social media platform. People can pay to kind of switch the narrative. And that's why we don't know 100% of the news. And that's why social audio has become so popular, because we've been getting news, but we haven't been getting the full on tea what was happening. So I don't believe that, like I said before, I no shade towards Elon Musk. I thought he was a cool dude. Still think that he's a cool dude, but I think that this is for personal gain. I think that what really when he had that argument with Elizabeth Warren publicly online, and then he started to get scolded by a lot of those senators and Congress people, that like did something to him. That made him feel like, what the fuck? Because even though everybody thought he was winning, like there was a lot of people who stopped fucking with Elon Musk for actually having an argument or a public debate with somebody who he shouldn't have even been discussing. And then people ended up finding out that he was in court for his company being racist, which that kind of still is out there too.
And you can also vary the narrative, IAN. The same way you can pay the trend, if you have an issue with your company, you can pay Twitter to make sure it doesn't make the airwaves. Anything, any reference to that, any no to it, it's removed automatically. So that's the bigger part, which is when you go private, you now own the tech, you own the IP, you own the patents, you own the software, you own everything. So that's the power that he now has. So anything, if he wants one narrative to go and he doesn't want the other one to be heard, it won't be heard.
And
But
I
also,
also want to
let's
put
let's
this
not
out there
forget that
too
there's a
that
cold war going on right now. There's a cold war going on right now between Elon and Jeff Bezos. Let's not forget that Jeff Bezos owns Huffington Post, and he does a lot of stuff as far as data and stuff for the CIA and the government, as far as defense and everything. Now, what I do see is Elon taking a similar route to owning Twitter, where he can also control the narrative, control the outcome, control the news, which I think is very, very cool because both parties definitely have great things going on as far as space, satellite, and everything going on. Both parties own, great amount of, someone is in the car industry and whatever, other person's also in the grocery and other industry. So I think that, both of them secretly hate each other, but they're all trying to acquire wealth to kind of test on each other. But I do feel like because of what is happening in Ukraine and Russia and everything, where Elon was able to stop some sort of magnetic attack on Ukraine, that kind of prompted the U.S. Government to understand that the war that is going on right now is not just sending troops, right? The cyber attacks and using internet is much greater than the regular going there to fight. So I think that Elon is moving very strategically to be able to position himself in a state where the government is always going to need him and the people are also going to need him. And I think by him acquiring Twitter, he can gain a huge audience and also manage the outcome of presidents, because as we all saw what happened with Facebook and with Twitter, if you're able to kind of change people's views and topics, you can naturally push people like a sales funnel, right? You can push people into voting for the people that you sometimes normally choose. But yeah, that's what I see.
So basically, he got a discount because that's a very cheap price to pay to paint the narrative for the world, essentially.
But
Yeah,
nobody.
and also keep
But
in
that's
mind. Well, just think about the power that he has now. Like I'm looking at it from that perspective of Elon Musk has a voice to the world even more so than he had before, and he can control it. I think it's going to be very, very interesting because the governments can't really like to your point, Teddy. The governments are going to have to communicate with him to try to buy into we need you to put this narrative out there, this agenda, because we saw that over the course of COVID that all these governments were in they were all, I don't know if the word is coerced, but they were all communicating from a certain agenda point, and then they muted every other point that may have come against that. Any natural healing, any self taking care of yourself, anything that was against the vaccine or any of that kind of stuff was being muted by these major.
So, Ion, I have a quick question. What have people been saying about Elon Musk overall for him to try to like buy Twitter so, like whatever has been out
yeah.
don't
All
come out?
well. So basically, what I'm saying is all his harsh criticism that he's ever received has been from Twitter. It's the same thing with Jeff Bezos with the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos was always criticized harshly by the Washington Post. So guess what? He bought it, right?
Facts,
Um,
big
so
facts.
so it's the same thing that happened. Like, and it's like if you look at anything, any terrible thing that has been happening, or any criticism that happens to at Elon Musk, it's mostly over promoted on Twitter. Like every time somebody puts out something like that, when Elon Musk.
He basically, it's twofold. One, he gets the control of the narrative, and the second part is his satellite that's providing internet to like Ukraine right now. It is actually going to benefit off of being able to use some of the tech, because there's tech built into the Twitter platform that he will now own all that proprietorship, all the patents on, as a result of him acquiring it. So it's not just the narrative, it's going to also be the access to the narrative, because he's now going to be providing internet to people who will only see what he puts on there. So when you understand it, it really is it's an amazing play from an economic standpoint for him as a private person. It's also very scary because it's a lot of power in one person's hand.
I agree. And one other thing that this article says as it closes that I didn't realize, it says after accepting, he initially rejected their invitation to join Twitter's board. Musk, then that's when he dropped the bombshell that he had an unsolicited
Yeah, because
offer to buy the
terms
company.
when you acquire majority shares in a publicly traded company, they offer you a seat in the board, But when you get a board seat, it comes with something called fiduciary duty, which you have to sign saying you will never do anything to harm that public company, meaning hostile takeovers.
And
So
you
he
are,
had
and
to
you
reject
also,
that in order to do this, because he basically just hostile take over the company.
there
So I
also is
understood all of that.
a thing where you need to, where you cannot buy a certain amount of things. So when you sign on to the board, you can't buy, there's a certain percentage of shares
Correct.
that you have to stay under.
And that's fiduciary duty. It's all classified as your fiduciary duty on the board. So that's why he had to reject the board seat. So from the moment he rejected the board seat, I know this because, like I said, we own a publicly traded company, so I know how this operates. So I told a lot of my friends, I was like, watch and see, Elon's gonna take this company over. That was the first indication that a hostile takeover was. They didn't have a choice because he literally said if they didn't accept his bid, he was going to dump his shares. That was
And
going to
and
tank
it
it
is true because they
because he
talk
is the
about
majority.
the
Yeah, he's the
company.
majority shareholder. So if he dumps his shares, there are people that follow him, and it was going to tank their their portfolio. Like if you even looked at the market on when yesterday, everything was down straight across the board because a lot of people were liquidating in case that happened and they didn't accept it. They didn't have this was a hostile takeover.
But
Don't get it misconstrued because
really
people just
quickly,
don't know how bad it was.
It's still gonna
I
go up
just
though.
want to.
It's
I
still gonna
just
go
wanted
up.
to add a few more elements to the,
Yeah, that's what
to
I
the
wanted to give the
situation.
rest of the
So
context.
in 2017, Elon Musk made a public statement that he said, I love Twitter. Somebody said he should buy it, and then he asked how much it was to buy Twitter all the way back in 2017. Also, the original proposal that he made to the company was rejected by the major shareholder, which was a Saudi Arabian billionaire. So the original proposal that he made was rejected, and I don't remember exactly when that was, but that came out. It was on the blogs. I'm pretty sure y'all saw it a few days ago. But then I guess the numbers got right or whatever, and they accepted his proposal. So here we are.
No, it's not the numbers got right. He became the majority shareholder. So
Right,
that's
because
why
it's the
he
He
same
was
rejected.
number.
For you
already
to
he
understand,
was already
he
the majority shareholder when they
no,
rejected his initial request to buy the company, though.
no. The Saudi guy was rejecting it, but he was no longer majority. So what had to happen is for Elon to acquire majority shares, he bought some under his name, and then he bought some under agents who bought them for him, and then transferred them to him. So at the time when he initially was trying to buy it, he was not listed as the majority. That's why the deal couldn't go through back then, because the Saudi dude was doing the same thing. When he did this, this is what I'm saying. This is a hostile takeover. He sneaked it on him. The Saudi dude has money too. If he had known he had this plan, he could have bought and become balanced with Elon. But by the time it came out, it was this is what it is. I am the majority shareholder. Take it or leave it. And he had him over a hole.
Yeah, it said that the company actually adopted what's called a poison pill. The Twitter's board quickly adopted a so-called poison pill, which served essentially as a speed bump. It was a way to slow down Musk from acquiring more shares when it was in a public market. But ultimately, he went from being a shareholder and, gaining access to so many shares to just making an offer for the company.
And they should have known better too, because the poison pill would never work with someone like Musk. Because from the time he spoke on it, rest assured, the agents, the brokers, they already had those shares in their pocket. It just wasn't legally transferred, so it wasn't on record at SEC that he owned it. But he knew he had some.
Yo, what's good? And we're back. It was a long video, a lot to cover. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like I said and promised, I'll be showing you guys Elon Musk's latest tweets from Twitter. And as always, thank you guys again for watching and tuning into BackwoodsBANDiT. Later.